and I'll verify it's working.
Shows YouTube on mine.
Yeah. Okay, it's working. All righty. Okay, let's go back and feel free to pop up if we have any questions. And let me go to Keynote and I'll share my screen. And then if any of you on the sidelines see a few of your co-hosts, you can monitor the mics. And then if you see hand raises, please let me know, since it's hard for me to monitor that. It's on my second screen. So let's go here to the start. Play, view, full screen. I want to go full screen. There we go. All right. Well, we started the recording. Okay. So current events and rumors. I have Al's great deal with all of his topics that he gets for us. And so we had the event on the 12th, I believe it was, the Wanderlust. I'm going to be talking about that, and I'm going to be talking about iOS 13. So one thing here is Apple's been trying to make their own modem for quite a while, but they finally have relented. That they made a deal with Qualcomm, because Qualcomm's who makes the modems, and they kind of don't really have a monopoly on it, but it's been pretty good. So Apple said, got to do that. Pixelmator, those of you, it's a great editing thing, but now you can do PDF editing in Pixelmator Pro, which is wonderful. China won't, that's just stuff. TSMC, which is Taiwan Semiconductor, has an Arizona factory, but the chips can be made there, but then they need to get sent back over to Taiwan and come back. But all the iPhone 15 Pros are using the new A17 chip, which is a 3 nanometer, which just makes it super fast and uses less energy. This I didn't know. PayPal is rolling out Apple Pay support for its cards, which is good. And that would be the PayPal credit card. Doesn't really affect PayPal. Actually, since he did this, there's been some other updates. So don't forget to do your updates. I am not recommending going up to Sonoma yet. I always say wait at least until it's a 0.1 version of it, unless you have an extra Mac that you can load it on. I haven't heard any real problems with it, but I'm not running it because I need to be productive, and it might not be. So on the other hand, I do encourage anyone, and we're going to talk tonight about iOS 17, and it's doing very well. New iPhone 15 has a new USB-C instead of the Lightning connector. Oh, that's pretty neat. YouTube Music is working on HomePod integration. These are all going to Bob White will put these in the blast, the link to these, I believe. And
as long as you send a copy to me.
I will, yeah. Thank
Okay.
you. Remind me at the end, or send me an email now if you get a chance, and I'll do that, Bob.
Okay.
In fact, hang on. Why don't we just do it right now?
Do it right now.
Yeah, I mean it's so easy when I just do the link thing, and
that's what I do when I'm talking to somebody.
Except it's behind my damn Zoom windows.
Well, we don't know the difference.
It came, but no subject line. There we go.
Question from Roy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about iOS 17, so I guess you're using 16. I'm still using 12.6.7 Monterey.
No,
Am
no,
I
no, no.
missing out on a lot of stuff?
iOS versus Mac OS.
Ah,
iOS is iPhone operating system. So, yeah, so it was Sonoma is the new version after Ventura, and Ventura is what I'm running, and Ventura is it's a pretty good operating system
And
actually.
it's 13.
Yeah, 13 was Ventura, wasn't it?
Sonoma is 14.
I'm
Yeah,
not sure
Sonoma's-
mine will upgrade to 13, but I can try. Mine might be too old.
Well, we'll be doing some. I'm not. So you can go online and see what's available on that, but I'm not really going over Sonoma tonight at all.
Okay, no problem. Thanks.
Because it just dropped yesterday. So, camera shortcuts, fine woven. I'm just looking for anything in here. Apple had, and if you go back, make sure you see watch the keynote of the iPhone 15 introduction. It was pretty darn good. Al just has so many nuggets in here, something for everyone. New chip in the iPhone and the new Apple Watches. To be honest, both the Ultra and the regular watch was kind of an incremental upgrade. They're faster. If you had the previous version, there's not a huge compelling reason to go up to the new one. And by the way, we're going to go over iOS 17 tonight and just briefly talk about iPhone 15. The first Saturday class will be a lot of dive deep and see what the scoop is, but I just got to look. And I will be here. Yeah, I leave the next day, I think. Hang on here. Let me just verify that. Yeah, I leave for the Eastern Sierras the next day, so that's fine. At like 2 a.m. All right. Let's see. Randy, you usually have some rumors and stuff too. I'm looking here. Oh, and Apple increased, if you were getting close to your 2 terabyte limit, they've increased the limits on iCloud, and they're priced they're appropriate for what you get. Let's see here. Oh, and there is a rumor now that there'll be an October event. There may be some new MacBook Airs, possibly a MacBook Air 15-inch, and hopefully a new iPad mini. That's what I'm waiting for. So that'd be fantastic. Let's see. Most of that's all iPhone 15. It's full of stuff.
Roy, I just posted the machines that'll take
Oh,
Sonoma
perfect.
in the chat.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah, it shows the machines that can use Sonoma. Again, I would not recommend Sonoma yet unless it's a secondary machine that you have. Gosh, there's so much stuff here. Let's see. Oh, butt dial of iPhone emergency SOS via satellite still summons helicopter rescue. Well, that's rather embarrassing. Oh, and that's one thing too, in the new SOS, you can get roadside assistance now, not just for emergency stuff, because the whole SOS is, and I'll go over that on the first Saturday class, is you can use if you don't have cellular, you can use SOS and do a message, and it goes over the satellite, and you get 2 years of it for free. So you're not getting charged anything. And they're short messages. It's not like you can make a phone call with it. So we're going to talk about iOS 17. You'll like some of these new features. predominantly on the phone, but we have iOS 17 for the iPad, which has a few extra features, but does pretty much it. Oh, Carrot Weather is a really good weather program since Dark Sky is no longer. And tips about standby. So in this document you're going to get in the blast, you're going to want to standby is something that's very, very good. And I'll show you what it is. And it's great. Fantastic. All right. So any questions on current events and rumors, or anybody have any they know about that they want to either ask or pop up and do? Dale Steele puts in here the tvOS is a good upgrade. And the other nice thing is with iOS 17 and tvOS, you can use your phone as a camera for your Apple TV to do FaceTime. And so that's a really neat benefit. Sitting around with the family, you've got everything up there. Roy, go right ahead.
I've heard or read that iPhone 15 is delayed till mid-December.
I've had mine since last Friday.
Okay, and are you on that monthly deal?
Yeah, but I mean, tons of people picked them up. There were some old thoughts where they were going to be delayed, but now there may be a delay because they sold so many.
Maybe that's the reason.
So it's not delayed. It's the shipping times have slipped because the phone came on time. This response was much bigger than everyone thought it would be. And they're scrambling to get more made. So unfortunately, that's a problem, but it's a good problem to have. So, all right. Any others? Randy, go right ahead.
Yeah, just regarding the 15 and picking up the iPhone, just maybe a tip for everyone else, if and when you do decide to trade in or get a new phone. One thing I did not take with me this year was the AT&T is my carrier. I know there's several great carriers out there, but for other reasons, I have stuck with AT&T. And I needed the password because something didn't transfer over, even though I pre-ordered online and put in on the application for me for the pre-order that my carrier is AT&T. The number somewhat popped in, but I had to go from the Apple store in Roseville across the street to the AT&T store for them to finish the update. So try to remember, don't do what I did, take all of your passwords because they erased my old phone. And so I had no, passwords or keychain to go to for any reference. So maybe take another device with you, an iPad or something, and you won't have to do what I did, but it all turned out great. Oh, and one other thing, maybe the wallet for once, this time transferring over the wallet over to the watch was not smooth, but I think I solved it by going to the Watch app on the iPhone, and I did not have Apple Cash turned on. I think that's the clue to getting the Apple Watch to pay with the Apple Watch using the Apple Wallet. So if I totally lost everybody, I think I'm lost myself now, but just turn on the green Apple Cash in the wallet app on the phone. It should work.
Thank you, Randy. And I was going to talk about the importance of how you go to a new phone. And my first comment would be, I should wear a shirt that says, "Don't be like Randy." So Randy kind of is like a caveman sometimes. He's very new and but he went to the Apple store to pick up his phone when you could sit at home and have it delivered very nicely to your house. But that's not so, but here's the problem with what you did, Randy, and everyone, please, this is a lesson on why to not do it that way. So Randy and the Apple people say this, okay, we're going to wipe the phone. We're going to trade in your phone for you. And we're going to give you, gold stars and extra money and everything else. Well, you don't want to do it that way. So whether it's in the Apple store, which I don't recommend, what I recommend, and I did it for a close friend of mine just yesterday. In fact, the iPhone, she went in and got a 15. So I know they're in great supply because we ordered it hours before that and it was there and ready to go. So I know that there's maybe only certain models are in short supply. But anyway, like her carrier is AT&T, and so she was getting, I mean, here she had an iPhone 10R, which is like an 8-year-old phone. Well, no, I'm sorry, it was like a 5-year-old phone, whatever it was, the 10R, and she's trading it in and she gets $140 credit, and she's going to get $300 and something of bill credits from AT&T over time. So her phone that is like old is worth $500. And that's the unknown, the unsung part of, that's why you buy Apple products. They have resale value. Good luck doing anything like that with an old Samsung phone or a Google Android phone. So here's how you do it. Even though there's a trade-in, you don't have to do it right away. So what you do is, in Randy's case, if they hadn't wiped his phone, he would be able to go into passwords on his phone and find that. And that's okay. I mean, I know that happens, and that has to do with the fact that Randy's dealing with an inferior carrier and they don't like him. So regardless, it's his own, he's in his own little jail there. And that's a more joke than anything, because it's Randy and I can do that. So anyway, what you do is you take the new phone and you go through the quick start. And in the quick start, you have an option to say, download from the cloud or copy it from the other phone. And absolutely positively, do not do it from the cloud. Apple wants you to do that way if you're in the store, because then they don't have, it takes, doesn't take as long and everything else. But I know of 10 instances where everything has not come over. Now, that's not bad if you don't wipe the phone, but that's an option on the thing too, is to wipe the phone. So just don't wipe the phone. But the best way is do a phone-to-phone transfer. Al had a problem on his, and I was able to resolve it with him through text message and calling and stuff. And thank goodness his old phone didn't get wiped also. And yes, you do have a copy of your old phone up on the cloud, but it's just not the same. Passwords, everything else is much smoother. Randy wouldn't have had the issues with Apple Cache, and he would have had less password issues if it had come over phone to phone. Now, that being said, I have 350 gigabytes of data on mine. So mine took 6 hours, but I don't mind that because it's only once a year and it got everything in. So what I do is I figure a time when I'm getting ready to go to bed, when I'm not going to need my phone, and I did the thing that evening, the evening I got the phone. So that's very, very, very important. And Randy, I'm sorry that it happened to you, but it's actually good because it brought it up. And it's not Ken just talking about it being an issue. It's, hey, here we've got somebody who's very techie and knows what he's doing, and boom, and he even had Apple's help. So, and it's even worse if you go into the phone stores. Buy your phone from Apple. And if you want, like Randy's on it, I believe, and I am, and Al, I think Bob is, we're on Apple's upgrade program. So if you get a new phone every year, get on the upgrade program, because we get notified a few days before the phone is. We can get everything arranged so that when you get up at 5 a.m. in the morning, you just simply hit one button and say, go ahead. And you're at the top of the list to get the new phone. But also, they just take my phone and trade it in. Now, that being said, and this is the only time I'll do this, and also in the first Saturday, but I have an iPhone 14 Pro Max that I have to turn in, and it will be because I'm making payments on it, but I can turn it in and trade it in. My box just arrived today. But if someone wants a really good deal on an iPhone 14 that has 1 terabyte, it's never been touched by human hands because it's always been in a case and always had a screen protector, it would be half of what the retail was on that. You guys can message me in the chat or send me a link or an email. I'm making nothing on that because if I turn it in, I'm essentially getting credit for half of the value of the phone. Now, that being said, there are deals from the carriers. So if they now apply to existing customers. It didn't used to. So check with your existing customer because my phone may be more expensive than what you could do online with a new 15. And I wouldn't encourage you to do that. It's no skin off my back because I can just send this thing in and get half value. But if it's worth it to you and it's beneficial, but I'd still look at the deals because you can get up to $800 back in credits as an existing customer with all 3 carriers. We'll discuss more of that on the first Friday class. So that's a long rant, but I can't tell you how important it is because I think the data on our iPhones are the most important things, including the photos. So
I have a quick question. If you're taking,
hang on. I've got 4 people in front of you.
oh, sorry.
So, and I'll come to you after Mary. Carolyn Monson, go ahead.
Well, I'm just like Randy. I brought mine home to migrate everything, had absolutely no problem, but the SIM card would not transfer over. The second call to Apple support, they made me an appointment for the following week. And I was so antsy that I just ended up going to the AT&T store, who I'm with because I don't have any control over that. And the guy had it fixed in 7 minutes. I couldn't believe it.
Good.
So, and yes,
and
I think I
that's when
did
it's a-
transfer
when it's a
things from
SIM
the
issue,
cloud.
Because the new phones have what's called an eSIM, not a physical SIM card. But I'm
Yeah.
seeing some familiarity here. It was another AT&T issue. I
Mhm.
won't not saying anything. You can draw your own conclusions. Barbara, go right ahead. Unmute
Yeah, I
yourself.
had a question, which is, you were talking, Randy was talking about the new iPhone 15 being in short supply. I haven't bought one yet.
No. I think some models, it's not in short supply.
Okay. If when I get ready to buy one, if it is in short supply, is there any advantage to waiting until it's not? I mean, is there sort of a quality issue if they have to quickly rush to get a bunch of new ones out onto the market? And you better off waiting until they don't have to rush?
No, that'd be more of a concern with the first ones that come out, but it's not. I mean, Apple's got it down, and you got to remember, while I tell you to not go to Sonoma, I'm going to encourage you to go to iOS 17 because Apple knows that Apple itself depends on the iPhone and iOS. So they put all the engineers on that. But no, I wouldn't. It's, first of all, the production is very, very much automated, and it's designed because Apple designs it so well. It's designed to not have issues and problems, and they're all fully tested. And besides that, if anything's an issue, and I rarely hear of other than software issues, weird little anomalies on any iPhone.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm, now, of course, since you've asked it, if you get one, it'll be the one. So make sure you knock on one, or if they give you one, pass and get the second one. So
I assume, though,
All right.
there is some logic to waiting to Black Friday or Cyber Monday and make, maybe saving $100 or something.
yeah,
Okay.
I don't, phones aren't usually discounted until late in the season.
Oh, okay.
So, and then the other thing about this whole trade-in scenario, I'm blown away that my friend's 10R or XR got such a price, but trade-in value on phone is after 2 years and after 3 years is when you have the prime trade-in value versus age of the phone. If you let it go longer than that, it starts to diminishing returns, more or less. All right, Mr. White, go right ahead. You've had your hand up for a while.
Two things. What I put my hand up for, it was back in the volunteer announcements.
I
Just
didn't see it,
reminding
sorry.
people that I'll be sending out the stuff, elections, voting starts the 1st, goes through next till in the afternoon, just before next month's meeting. Number 2, I'm not in that monthly program, but they gave me $570 for my i14 Pro versus the 15 that will be coming next Wednesday.
That's pretty darn good.
Yeah, so that's actually, I worked out the numbers, that's actually better than the monthly.
Yeah, it is. It is sometimes. I agree.
Yeah.
So, which
was
is
last year
really,
also.
really surprising, you know?
Anyway, I'm done.
Thank you, Bob. Mary, you're
Miss
up.
Mary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a 14 this week because that's what I decided I wanted for whatever reason. And
That's a great phone.
it is, and I got a 10R. I mean, I took a 10R to turn in, but because it had a crack on the screen, they were going to only give me $50. So I have decided to donate it to somebody I know who has like a 7 or something like that. And I think
Good.
she can use it. Yeah. But the question and the guy in the store was really nice. And I told him about MacNexus. He's like probably about 30. So he was kind of interested in what we're doing. I thought that was interesting. He appreciated that. But the question I have really is, I have a SIM card. I wiped everything on the phone. I have a SIM card in the old phone. Should I take it out before I give it to her? Is that a big deal?
No, because on iPhones, so it's more or less tied to your number, but it's not. But unlike old phones, on iPhones, they don't store any of our information on the SIM.
Okay.
And it might, if she's going to go with the same carrier, it may save her a few dollars. She may already have a SIM in hers. Now, if it turns out she doesn't need it, then yeah, I would just break the thing in half and crunch it up. But other than that, it might be beneficial for her depending on who the carrier she's going to use is, or she can maybe remove the SIM from her existing carrier.
She thinks she can, and it's just hard to get the case off. So I'm going to let a younger hand do that.
There you go. All right. Thank you. And Bev, we have a question from you. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was a confusion back when you mentioned about not to buy from Apple, not from the store. But then when I bought my 14 in the spring, all the big deals and buying on phone seemed to be if I bought it from T-Mobile in the store. So I'm a little confused. Is there?
So if you look, especially on the 15, if you were picking up a 15, now Apple has on their site, when you go to the buy at the very top, there's a little banner up there. And as long as you're with the major 3, the AT&T, T-Mobile, or Verizon, that goes right there and it shows you what they're offering as deals, and you process that right through with Apple. The advantage of getting the phone from Apple is, first of all, you're getting it from Apple, so dependable shipping, etc. But secondly, the phone is unlocked also, so that if you travel and you need to put in a foreign SIM card, if you happen to be in Mozambique or something like that, the phone is not locked from Apple, whereas the carrier may lock it until you quote paid off the phone.
Okay, so you can
Now
still
that,
buy Apple.
I'm not 100% that that's how Apple's still doing it, but I have not heard that changed.
Yeah, in the spring, I just bought directly with Apple and continued with T-Mobile, and I got a pretty small pittance. And they said the phone.
Yeah, well, that's because you did it in the spring, and it's also all of these special deals are going after the 15. In fact, my friend that I helped yesterday, we were going to get her the 14 because she wanted the bigger phone, and you couldn't get it in the 13. And then it turns out that then she got an extra 300 and something bucks from AT&T because she went to the 15, which more than made up the price difference than the 14. But I always recommend check with your carrier, see what the deal is there, and then go to the Apple site and verify that you're getting the same deal and get it through Apple.
Okay. All right.
T-Mobile has a new program now, and I mentioned it at the last meeting we had. They have a thing where they'll do trade-ins now, so will the other carriers. But be real careful, because sometimes instead of making 24 monthly payments, they've got it based on 30 months or 36 payments. So read the fine print on all of that other stuff. So since I was just getting to it and Bob already did part of it, was there any other volunteer or member announcements? And it was important the one he did. So anybody?
And Ken, on the checking with the carrier, if you go on the 24 payments, check what they require for insurance, because sometimes they just add it on, and if you go beyond the 24 months, they just, if you like to keep your phone, they just keep adding it every month. You have to remember to cancel it.
Very, very good. I definitely, and with Apple Care is the best insurance to get, because it doesn't have as high a deductibles, with the exception of the back glass, and the other carriers have it. Now, the other thing is, if you pay your cell phone bill with a Wells Fargo credit card, not the one for the phone, but the actual monthly bill with not a debit card, but a regular Wells Fargo card, they cover up to $1,600 twice a year with a $25 deductible. So that's, and so a few other credit cards do too, but I know the Wells Fargo is the one. Unfortunately, to get your $5 a month discount on T-Mobile, you have to use a debit card or an ACH now. So anyway, great. Now, we did a lot of tech questions in the beginning. Since that's where we are in the agenda right now, is there anybody that has any tech questions? Doesn't have to be related to the phone. Go ahead, Bev.
It's a question on using Time Machine. Not so much using it, but okay. I had Time Machine, my Mac Mini 2015 Mac Mini, and my MacBook Air were both backed up onto one hard drive. Now I've bought a new MacBook Air M2 chip. Should I just get a new hard drive? And it has Ventura on it, where my other one has Monterey. Would it just be best to put a new hard drive and back up, start Time Machine on a brand new hard drive, so don't have the old systems on the other hard drive, despite having room?
Well, the Time Machine external hard drive is simply just a drive. It doesn't run the systems. There's no commingling of all of your things. You will have 3 separate computers being backed up there, or 4, depending on if you've done Ventura on the new one. So, well, actually, I take that back. So you have a new device and you're running Ventura on it.
Yes.
So we're talking 3 different computers. It delineates in all. In fact, it's even within each one. If you had multiple users on the machine, it backs those up separately within it. So as long as you have room on it and it hasn't created any problems, it's not a problem at all to do that. How old is the hard drive?
Probably 3 years or more.
That's not bad. If it's getting more than that, then it's not a bad idea to archive that and put it on the shelf and get a new one, because hard drives aren't that expensive.
Okay,
What you want to do for hard drives is, and for Time Machine, you add up all of your computers and how much space there is how much storage space there is on those, the hard drive size, and your Time Machine should be 3 times the amount of space that you have on the computer, unless it's a case where you're using very little of the space that you have. Now, I always encourage, you got to remember, the most important backup is 1, 2, 3, or 3, 2, 1, realistically. So what that means is you should have 3 copies of every file. So let's take a photo, for instance. Photos are very important, as are tax documents. So you want to have 3 copies of those. One would be on your internal storage device, your internal drive. One would be on the Time Machine backup. And if you have your documents and desktop and your photos going to the cloud, that now counts as your 3rd backup. But even though the cloud is not a true backup, it would be unlikely. You could still recover your data from it if you needed to. I personally use 2 Time Machine backups and the cloud and my device. So I'm a 4-2-1. So the rest of the 3-2-1 is that's 3 copies of every file. Now I know some people on their Macs, they say, well, yeah, my photo library is getting so big, I'm going to put it on an external hard drive. And they put it on an external hard drive, or they put it on their Time Machine backup. Well, all of a sudden now you have one device, the one external drive that has 2 copies of your file. And if that thing gets stolen or fails, you no longer have 2 copies of that file. So that's not a acceptable way to do it. If you need to put your iPhoto library, your photos library on an external drive, you should have it being backed up by Time Machine, and that's an option you can set. So that being said, 3-2-1 on 2 different types of media, which would mean like you had a spinning hard drive and then you have a solid state hard drive, or the fact that you send it off site is another kind of media. If you had 3 spinning hard drives, that's not necessarily recommended. The other thing that's surfaced recently is if you're using, so there are solid state drives out there now. And if you use the solid state drive as a Time Machine backup, first, you don't need to, because you don't care how fast the Time Machine backup is. It just plunders along. You don't care if it's fast or not. But if you take a solid state drive and keep it as an archive and set it on the shelf for a long period of time without ever plugging it into a computer, it will die. It needs some sort of, it keeps the capacitors keep a certain amount of charge in it. So you could lose data on it. So solid state drives are not made for archival purposes. So that's something to remember. And Time Machine is very, very, very important. So any other Q&A, tech Q&A? That was a good question.
I have one on solid state and it's also on a spinning, but unfortunately with my new computer, it wouldn't see. I don't know what I was doing wrong. It wouldn't see the hard drive. So Apple helped me migrate just from Mac Mini to the new one, and that worked out okay.
Good. All right, Roy, go ahead.
Yeah, you just threw me. I bought a hard drive at Costco to back up my computer, but it's solid state. Where do I get a spinning hard drive?
Well, if you're going to continue to use that plugged into your computer, it's fine. But a spinning drive, Costco has them. I like the little Seagate 5 terabytes they have, and they go on sale anywhere from $99 to $129 is their pricing on it. It's a 5 terabyte Seagate, and that's a spinning drive.
So 5,
okay. You can tell by the weight. Now they're usually USB-A, the old style USB-A, so you need to get a little adapter for that.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Yep.
Well, a person whose name is iPad, put their real name on, please.
Somebody's named iPad. You need to go ahead and adjust your name, please. Let's go back to.
Yeah, I sent them a message in the chat.
Oh, good. Well, hopefully they can get that. Sometimes that's difficult. Elaine, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, how do I know if I have a solid state drive?
It's usually heavier and it's smaller. No, that's an old, and be careful. Don't, that hard drive was plugged in. Don't,
it's not plugged in. It's not plugged in.
Oh, I saw the cords. Okay.
Yeah,
you guys,
it's
on
just
a spinning
hanging.
hard drive, not a, oh, good. On a spinning hard drive, you be very gentle with it because it spins at pretty high RPMs, and any little bit of movement can cause the little magnetic reader head to ping the disk and create all kinds of havoc, and ask me how I know. So that was long ago. Anyway,
You're recommending Seagate as a spinning drive?
I like Seagate. I'm not a big fan of WD. Everybody has their others, but Seagate is, and it's just at Costco, it's easy, or at Amazon, and just depending on the storage you need. Some people can get by with 2 terabytes, but 5 terabyte is only incrementally more.
How do I
All
change my name on the iPad?
Oh, it's Rich. Well, you're
Yeah.
on it too. Are you on 2 devices?
No, just one.
Well, your name says Rich Pearson now,
Well, that's good.
so I don't know that that's you.
Well,
Well,
I'll look
iPad
at
is
it.
gone, so he might.
Yeah, iPad's gone, so it probably
Successful.
just took a while, but you're covered. We got you.
Okay.
You're officially in the drawing.
First things first.
Yeah. All right, everybody. So we'll go ahead and I'll go through here and we'll talk. I mean, and is this poignant? I always have this in my keynotes, but that's hard drive. And that's actually that's the Seagate logo. So the Seagate drive is and it's the older USB-A, but some of the solid states usually have USB-C. So you need a little adapter for it, but I always put that in as a reminder. All right, so as I said earlier, we're going to do iOS 17, and this is just going to be a overview of iOS 17, and we're going to get down into the nuts and bolts of it on the first Saturday class, because there's a lot to it, and it seems a bit benign in the beginning, but there's some really, really nice things that you'll want to know about and do. So we have iOS 17, and then we have iPad OS 17. At the same time, they updated the watch. I'm not going into the watch. They updated the TV OS. They're all very, very good updates, and I have not really heard of any problems. So they're very, very stable. So iOS 17, these are just a call out to some of the things that they have. I won't be touching on all of, well, yeah, I don't know. So we'll see. But anyway, there's some great things. So this is compatibility, and basically going back, believe it or not, to the iPhone SE, the old 2nd generation, but the iPhone XR. I mean, these are old, quite a bit older phones, and they support iOS 17. So if you need to take a picture of this screen, but you can find your phone, I'll leave it up for a second here to kind of see. It's in from newest to oldest. So the 10R, the 2nd generation SE, and the 10R, and the old 10S. I mean, that's pretty amazing. It looks like it pretty much stopped at the old original 10 is what it looks like. So here are all the features in the new iOS 17. So I'm going to go through all of these tonight. And I'll send this PDF to Bob too.
I say good luck with that.
Yeah. It's
There's a
actually on
lot.
Apple's website. So I'm just keeping on going. So did everybody get that?
Hey, you can read the fine print.
I'll send that to Bob again, so he has that one too. $368 kilobytes. That's not bad. All right, so let's dig in then. Since we're going to go through all those things. First off, they have a new thing called posters, and it allows you to really modify your home screen on the phone. But more than anything, you can customize when when you're calling someone else, rather than just showing, what it usually shows up, when someone calls you, if they're in your address book, it'll just show up their two initials, or it'll show their picture. Well, now it can show all of this. And so you get to set, and this only applies to Apple devices, but you get to set your own picture. You can do whatever you want and send that as your call screen for the new people. So if you're calling someone else in your family, this will show up rather than just your picture, and you can set it how it is. So I thought that was pretty cool, and it really does personalize it. Now, the other nice thing is you get those calls and you may not want to answer it, but you can now send a call to voicemail and it transcribes it on your phone for you so you can see what they're saying. It's transcribing it as they're leaving you that message. So that's pretty cool. And if you see who it is and it's not a solicitor, you can slide to answer. So if you wanted this about lobsters never stop growing. So anyway, that's a very neat thing. So if somebody calls and they start leaving you, they have to go over to voicemail, but once they start leaving the voicemail message, it'll transcribe it for you, and it's live. You don't have to wait till the call is done. Another one is, and FaceTime is this, FaceTime is Apple device to Apple device, and it can be a computer, an iPad, an iPhone, and FaceTime allows you now to record a video or audio message. I'm sorry, it's like an answering machine. So they can record a video or audio message if you've met, if it's just like voicemail basically on a regular phone, but it can be done with FaceTime now. So I thought that was pretty cool. I think that'll help make people do more FaceTime. And FaceTime and WhatsApp are two great things if you travel, because they use data rather than the cell service. So it's virtually free. This is one of the features I've really become enamored with in the new iOS 17, and it's called Standby. So in the past, the Apple Watch has been able to go into what's called nightstand mode, whereas if you have it on a charger, it pops up with a large version of the time. And in fact, if you have your phone, your Apple Watch sitting on a nightstand right next to you, and you tap the table or move it in any way, it then starts to glow with the time, but it's not enough to be all real bright and wake you up. But when we get up in the middle of the night, you want to see what time it is, you just basically, you don't even have to touch the device. You simply tap the table it's on and it shakes it. Well, now the phone does the same thing. And the way you trigger it is, it needs to be charging. And you can be charging one of two ways. It can be wirelessly charging on a stand, or you can have it plugged in, but it needs to be horizontal in landscape mode. And it determines that, and boom, after a little bit, the clock pipes up. In fact, if you look in the lower left down here, this is a map. That's the one I use for my standby. It's a map of where the sun is, and then the little dots are everywhere that you have in your weather app. For where you have it, you can tap on them. It'll show you the time where it is and stuff, or in the world clock. But when it gets late at night and your light is out in the house, the ambient light sensor senses it and it turns everything red. And if you think about old dark rooms, they used to have red lights because the red lights do not disturb. They don't put out light that will interfere with what you're doing. So it turns red like that. This is the one where you have an analog clock. I haven't found a way to do it digital with the calendar there. And the other thing too is if this goes away, again, you just tap the nightstand, and the little bit of movement will cause it to brighten back up. So you can have it be your photos, you can have it be the song that's playing, or you can have a really big version of your clock if you want. So that is called standby. It's pretty much automatic, but you can go in and customize it. Now, once you get into it, and I'll go over this in the class, what you do is when it's in nightstand mode, you swipe left or swipe right, and you get different screens. So, and as we're going, if there's any questions on any of this particular stuff, go ahead and ask.
How do you set it on standby?
It's automatic when it goes, when you set it down and it goes horizontal, it will do it automatically. As long as it's plugged into power, or, oops, hang on. I'm plugging mine into power just to make sure it works. Oh, and that won't work because it's USB-C. So hang on a sec here. Yeah. So, but just putting it horizontal, I'm doing it on my easel case, and boom, it does it automatically. And then again, you swipe up and down to get different screens once you're doing it. Kind of like how you change watch faces. So really, really neat. This is a stand that I think Belkin's making, and you can have a stand, because if you have MagSafe, it'll stick on the stand sideways like this. And then what happens is if you get a notification, like if you have a reminder set or something like that, it will pop up like this where the Uber Eats comes up. So it's not just for doing it when you're going to bed. It can be the rest of the time. You could have this set up on a counter, and it says, well, you're getting an Uber Eats order arriving, and here, and it'll pop up and give you the progress, because that's essentially something that would come up normally on your screen. And then here's the weather. And of course, in this case, you're using Siri, and it shows you the Siri results. So standby is really good. We'll go into detail. I really, really, really like it. So the widgets, which is if you're on your home screen and you swipe from left to right, you get into your widgets, or sometimes it's highlighted on your home screen. They've now become interactive. So that really is good. The widgets themselves have become much more functional, and I really haven't gone into that very much myself. I use Siri shortcuts more than I use widgets, but widgets are the fact that they're interactive now. So here I'm going to show you a new thing, and there we go. The phone, you get near another phone, and it shares your contacts, and then boom, like that. So the beauty of that is that and it's only Apple device to Apple device, but you're not having to go into contacts and say sharing by AirDrop and stuff like this. Just being next to the phone, and I'll play that again so you can see what happens. If you watch the phone on the left, oops, there we go. It's close to it. Now it says you can receive or share. You don't, let's just say, unfortunately, your phone gets near someone else that you don't know. It doesn't automatically happen. You have to agree, okay, share it. But the beauty is it just happens by proximity. And that's to me, this is awesome. I've been wanting this for a long time. There was an app a long time ago that said that you could tap it to share it, but this is really, really good. So that's how to share contacts with someone. Mary, go right ahead. You're muted.
Right. Yeah. So when you share your contact, does it share, like if you have stored notes in there and stuff, does it share all of that information as
So good
well?
question, and they've updated it. So everybody should go to settings and go to contacts. And, oh, hang on here. Because there's a thing where you can set what to share now. So hang on. I may have done it in the wrong way. Go to contacts. So everyone go to contacts, which is the green phone icon. I'll do this slowly so everybody can get there. Go to the green phone icon and tap contacts in the middle. At the top should be your name and what's called My Card. If your My Card is not there, we need to set that. But we won't do that now. But if you tap the My Card and you scroll down, it says Share Contact. And now when you tap Share Contact, there by check marks are the things you would like to share when you share with someone. So in other words, you can say, don't share notes or share notes. So, and I don't encourage you to share notes. You could probably want to share your first and last name, your email address and your phone number, and if you want, your street address.
Ken, is that available on new to 17? Is that right?
No, this has been there since 14 or 15 or 16. I can't remember.
I'm in 17 and I don't
I can't
see
find
that
it.
under contacts.
Okay, not in the contacts and settings.
Oh,
Right.
Go to, like I said, go to the phone icon, the green phone icon. I first thought it was in settings and it wasn't.
Oh, okay.
Go to the phone, the green phone.
and contacts at the bottom.
Yep, and go to contacts. Hang on, I'm getting out of it here. And then when you're in contacts, at the very top should be your name, and that's the My Card. And that's the one that is you. When you tap that, you scroll down to where it says Share Contact. And then you have your choices of what fields you will share when you share a contact. And that will apply in this new name drop.
Cool.
And if you were sharing it, because I had a long time ago, I shared a contact with somebody, and I had a couple passwords that I had stored in notes of my own contact, and they got them. Luckily, it was somebody I knew pretty well, and they erased them. So anyway,
Thank you, Ken.
that's only been there for a while, and I just happened to find it, and I think it's great. So it's excellent that you asked that question, Mary, because it didn't used to be the case. Bev, go ahead and ask your question. And you're muted.
Okay, thank you. Okay, if you're sharing, you come up to someone, you want to give each other's contact, it looks like it pulls up the person, but what's the mechanism of if you're saying, I want to share this paint store then you have to dial into contacts and search for your paint store?
Yeah, you can still share those if they're in your contacts. You can share any contact and you do it by AirDrop. I'm not sure if you'll be able to do name drop this way, but actually, hey, you'll both be able to choose the specific or email addresses you want to share and share them with your contact. I don't know about that. We'll see.
Okay, because I saw
But you
that.
can always do it on AirDrop. I doubt this is supposed to be a fast way because you're when you like, you know,
Like
you're at
exchanging
somebody in an
business
airport.
cards.
Oh, here's my info. Boom, you're done.
Yeah, like you have the old business card.
But you can do it the old caveman way with going into contacts. That let's say the paint store, you go to contacts in the paint store, go down and hit share contact, and then you can AirDrop them. But then the AirDrop's got this weird thing, or you can text it to them. So,
Okay, thank you.
Randy, go right ahead, Randy.
Yes, on the illustration that with your screen share, they're using like full illustrations or full portraits. Where do you
Because
go
remember,
to-
there's the new way that you can have your face when you're sending it to somebody. Remember the first slide?
I haven't done that, so
Well, let me show. Well, I know, but it's just come up. So it was this one where you can make your own thing like this. So that gets shared. This is like the old thing where it was your face. This is what's on your phone.
right. But I'm just lost as to where do you go for this page that you're showing? Where do
Oh,
you
that's in
take the pictures?
posters, I believe it is, if
Oh.
I'm not mistaken.
That's what I didn't know.
And if you go to your contact, if you go to my contact, you can see that. So again, we'll do this thing here so you can see how it is. You just need to get nearby. It senses it, and then you can receive only, or you can decide to share back is how it works. Or if you just disregard it, it doesn't happen. So Randy, the other thing is that you want to look for in the new one is what's called posters. And that's how you customize your home screen with a poster now too, or these posters that are what goes to someone else instead of just your photo now. So, all righty, great, good questions. All right, so share with, and this is more about it. So the nice thing about this is and this is coming later this year, but if for some reason you get far enough away from that person that you're not on Wi-Fi and not on Bluetooth right nearby, it will finish sending it over the internet. But it's going to be pretty quick, so you shouldn't worry about this, but it is a feature that's coming later this year, okay? And you can see here, if you'll notice on the screen on the left here, the incomplete circle is showing you the progress. And you're both right next to each other. It's using Bluetooth and or if you're on Wi-Fi, so it really shouldn't take that long to send that. Now this would be also if you had other photos, not just sharing of your contact, because you notice here they're sending a recipe and other things like that. So this is improving AirDrop so that if you have a group of people you're trying to send stuff to, you initiate it when you're close by, and then it will finish on the internet, and that's coming later this year. And so in addition to that, we now have it where you can share either video or audio that one person is playing. They can share it with another person. So that's pretty cool. I don't know what if you have to do this because there's whole digital rights management and stuff. I don't know if you have to be right next to each other or what. We will find out more about that soon. So this is coming later this year, and it'll be a journal. But the beauty of how Apple does the journal, it will suggest, just like your memories do in photos and things like that, it will suggest things for you if you want to keep, quote, a journal. But as you see here, it's photos from the day and different things like that. So you don't have to struggle to be creative or struggle to be with what you're doing, because it's augmented, or it's artificial intelligence goes in and says, you know, that picture of the person at the beach, is probably the one they want. They don't want the picture of the price tag at Costco and things like that. So that's what Journal will do, and it's a built-in app, and it will again be available later this fall. So you can write on it, you can do whatever you want. You can probably even keep your health stats, things like that. We don't really know the whole thing on it yet, but I'm pretty intrigued by this. Safety and security, that's paramount with Apple. You're the only one that can access your journal. And that means that biometrically, either with your Face ID or your Touch ID or your passcode, you can get in on there. So it also suggests for you, as I was just talking about, and you can see here, select a moment and write. So I was a little ahead of myself on this, but it kind of shows different things that you did, and you can select one or all of those to add to the journal. And then you've got a little thing where if you want to write anything about it, you can also. So I think Journal, it'll spur me to start to do that. And for me, it's journaling my trips. And I think that's going to be hugely beneficial.
Is that
Keyboard.
one already available?
I'm sorry?
A journal? I thought that was a coming update.
It's coming in the fall. Or
Okay.
excuse me, later. I'm sorry, later this year, it says.
Okay.
Yeah. But I just want to point it out because it's part of iOS 17, because we probably won't talk about it more than that. So, well, I'll believe this when I see it, but it's even more accurate autocorrect. I will tell you guys a little tip here. A way to defeat autocorrect. Many times, let's just say you're putting you're spelling something that is, well, we'll say Bill, but not as a person's name, but you want it to do B-I-L instead of B-I-L-L. And if you put B-I-L and you hit space, then it's going to autocorrect it to be B-I-L-L. So what you can do, or actually the other one would be, let's say, sleep with two P's, or anyway, what you do is you type one extra character and then backspace by using the left arrow on the thing, the delete key, the delete back key. And when you do that, it will not autocorrect the word that you've just done. And the beauty of that is you might have certain special spellings, sometimes if it's a foreign language, or like I had with the different Viking ships we were on. I was on the Skierer, which looks like sky, or skier, and it would autocorrect. But if you type one extra character and then backspace, then you can hit the space bar and it will take what you've typed and not autocorrect it. Now, what you'll also do is there's going to be better predictive text down in right above where the letters and numbers are on the keyboard, and all you do is simply hit the space bar, and it will do with artificial intelligence. It will finish sentences for you. So that works really, really well. I should say at the same time, another very important feature you can do, you can press and hold on the cursor and move it around, but the easiest way to do it is if you press and hold on the space bar, it allows you to move the cursor around and it gets a little speech bubble. Because if you realize that 3 words ago, you need to go back and make an insertion or a correction. Bob, was that what you were going to mention?
No, actually what I was going to say, Ken, is I typed a long email today, and I'm in Sonoma already. And this feature is going to make you rethink what you just said when you start using it, because it is damn. It's nice. Let me tell you.
Good to know. And I haven't really done much with iOS 17 yet either. So, and that's great to know. And
because I was like you, I'm kind of iffy on their check spell, but their spell check, but This is a nice
But
one.
you'll still need to use the technique to defeat it, because it's not that it's sending up a word you don't want. It's sometimes you have a word that isn't in the dictionary that you want to use, and that's how you defeat it. I think
True.
autocorrect does a pretty damn good job.
Yeah, but I had this thing guessing 2 or 3 words ahead of me accurately.
Oh, isn't that amazing? I started
Yes.
using that on iOS 17, and it's really good. And especially when you're a fumbly typer like that, like me. Yeah, it is amazing, and it learns from you. In other words, we were like, the word MacNexus is not in any dictionary, but it will learn from that. And believe it or not, this same artificial intelligence that's doing that will make Siri better too. Good comment. Thank you, Bob. So
Mm.
now, Safari and passwords. In Safari, well, first there's going to be a thing called a profile. So when you have profiles, you could set up different profiles where you could have, like, this is my travel profile, and you keep that up, and then you could switch to another profile that is you're going on Mac News or things like that. So you can have these different profiles. Think of these almost like kind of a separate user thing. But what it is it allows you to keep, like, for instance, I'm going to the Eastern Sierra. Well, actually, I should announce right now, everybody needs to know, October 14th, there's an eclipse that goes across Nevada, from Oregon across Nevada. It's called the annular eclipse. So it's a 89%. So you'll see it's not a total eclipse. There'll be a little faint ring around the moon with the sun, and it crosses right through Winnemucca, near Winnemucca, Nevada. So, and the hotel rooms are already all booked, but you can go over to Elko or go back. But anyway, that's going to happen like at about 9 to 10 in the morning on October 14th. So I'm doing that, and then I come back, and then actually before that though, I go to the Eastern Sierras. I'm doing the 8th, 9th, and 10th. I'll be doing right after the first Saturday class. I'll be doing leaf changing photography down there in the Eastern Sierras, and I'll make a profile for that, because I have a bunch of websites that I need to access where I've made folders before inside my bookmarks. I can do a whole profile, because once I'm done with that, I can delete that whole profile of bookmarks. So anyway, let me go back. So anyway, profiles are good, and it keeps the history and everything within that profile. So if it was once for my Eastern Sierras, and I also have one for my Japan trip that's coming up in November, it would, if I searched for something in the Japanese one, it wouldn't use that history. So in other words, these are all sequestered buckets, and they don't cross-pollinate. So that comes to be very helpful, because sometimes you want to go back in your history. And I don't encourage you to make tons of profiles, but I think you can make specific profiles and really make Safari work well for you, because Safari is probably our most used app for most people. So, and again, we'll dive into that first Saturday. Another great feature we have, if you use Safari, is when you get texted a verification code, that code gets texted to you, and it will automatically show up in Safari, and you simply click on it. You don't have to enter that verification. And that's as long as you are using your text messages on your Mac, but also on your phone, it shows up. Doesn't do it for every site, but it does it for most sites. And now it's going to do it if you receive an email, because sometimes instead of text, they'll send you a email verification code. And in iOS 17, it will reach in and realize that and autofill that code for you. That's Very, very handy. And by the way, you can do passkey sharing, which is part of that. Passkey is starting to roll out more and more. I did a presentation on passwords and passkey probably a year ago. Now you can collaborate on playlists. That's coming later this year too. I think they wanted to make sure they had to get iOS 17 out for the new iPhone 15s, but they have some other features and they probably weren't baked in enough yet. So rather than release a half-baked feature, they're coming out later. It doesn't have to be with CarPlay, but you could have you and a friend, let's say you like the same music, you would sign them up to collaborate on playlists. And if they have a song that they think would be good for the collaborative playlist, you simply add the song to it, and then everybody sees that song that's added to the playlist. And you guys can talk about it and things like that. So I think it's pretty cool. So and if you have CarPlay in your car, SharePlay makes it easier for people to control the music. In other words, someone in the back seat can now control with permission what's playing on the CarPlay in the car, rather than the driver having to do it or the passenger even reaching over. It comes through SharePlay from the phone. I think that's a great feature. This is two things here are glory, hallelujah. We can now download maps for use offline. This has always been a problem. For instance, there's a place in the Eastern Sierras where I have no coverage at all. I can download the map of that area, and your GPS will always work, but I don't have cellular coverage. So this way I can download the map. It's really easy to do. In fact, when you go and do directions on the map, it prompts you if you want to download. Google Maps has had this for a while. Another trick that I do is if I'm flying somewhere, when I'm in the plane, sometimes I'll download the area I'm flying over so I can see where the plane is, because a GPS works all the time, unless you're in airplane mode. And the other thing is, like if I'm doing, for instance, when I went to South Africa, just in case I had limited cell phone coverage there, I downloaded maps of the entire spots, of all the spots. I did this on Google Maps before Apple Maps did it. I did all the different spots along the way so that if I were ever out of cell range, I could still then get my map. But now Apple Maps offers that, and Apple Maps is improving all of the time. So quite good. The other thing is, for those of us that are electric vehicle owners, it will do real-time charging station availability along my route. Now, I'm not sure how and I was looking on the maps earlier, I couldn't see. I've got to look into this. I'll know more by the time we do the first Saturday class. I think it'll be very beneficial, but if you're an electric car owner, this is the app you want in the meantime. And it's my go-to everywhere, every time. In fact, here I was just planning, this is the spot in the desert where the full eclipse will come through right up here. This is Winnemucca. And so what I've done here is I've charted my path. I have to stop in Fernley, Nevada for 22 minutes to charge. And then I go to Winnemucca and I'll charge for a little time there because I have to come back to it. But then I go to this location, I pin the map, and then to get back to Winnemucca from there, and then I can get back, no problem. But this is a better route planner, is fantastic, and it not only works for Tesla, it works for all electric vehicles. You put your own vehicle in, and I pay for it because I use it so much. I really want to support them, but they have been purchased by Rivian, which is one of the and they're probably one of the manufacturers that will probably survive on electric cars. And so it's got a good thing. I don't think they will cut everybody else out because they're using it for them, and it's just a matter of servers. So Rivian's doing some good things for the industry. But you put any car in you want, and you can see it. I also encourage that if you're like I did a test with this years ago. I found a location that was exactly 1,000 miles from my house. And I did all the different electric cars so that I could see how much it would cost and how long it would take to do charging and things like that. And it's really pretty good. You can really see the difference on what charging systems make here, and you can choose which charging systems you want to use. But I've done 5 over 4,000 mile road trips, and I use this to plan it. You're also able to drive with this, but I usually use my built-in navigation in the Tesla. I just use this to plan my trip. For instance, where my lunch or overnight stops are. So we're going to get some of those features in on Apple Maps, and Google Maps is doing kind of the same thing. But the go-to, the holy grail of all of them is a better route planner, and I've been using it for gosh, I've been driving. I've probably been using it for, of the 8.5 years I've been driving an electric car, I probably used it when it first came out. I don't know if that was 7 years ago or whatever.
What was the name of that app?
A Better Route Planner. Here's the logo, A Better Route Planner. And it's an app, and the app is ABRP. And it's all one word together. I frankly use the Safari version on the, and I actually use this, for instance, when we did the Great Race this year, we're taking the diesel truck all the way across the country to get to Florida to start the race, because we had the car in the trailer. But I use this even to just look at my route and using the diesel truck, because this is really good about finding waypoints and stuff. But of course, I wasn't having to stop for electricity, but it gave me some really good ideas. But abetterrouteplanner.com, or the app is either under, and that's all one word together, or ABRP is the app, and it's Android and that, and the app's great. But when I'm planning a big trip, nothing like the computer. In fact, let me show you a neat feature. So this is the route I just showed you, and I can pick other spots in the way. I can pick a different route, but if I go here, then here's here's the whole statistics on it. I hit this little data thing and it pops up and shows me, okay, there's what your charge is. And then it even uses the pricing of the Tesla supercharger. I still have 3,000 miles of free charging, so it doesn't count for me, but it tells you how long the charge is, etc. Very, very beneficial. And it has all the cars. All right, back to Keynote. Okay. So newest, and I'll be careful when I say this. I'll say Shlomo instead of the word SIRI. So now we used to say the word hey and the word Shlomo to activate it. You can go in iOS 17 and turn on the ability to just say Shlomo, because but I frankly think I'll get more of the awakenings on that, so I'm holding off on that. But that is a neat feature, so you don't have to say the word hey and the word Shlomo. So the other thing is Shlomo will now add to it. So in other words, if I say something, back-to-back requests, I can say, oh, if I want to add certain things. Well, in this case, text Emmy I'm on my way, and then remind me to water the plants when I get home. Those are 2 different requests using 2 different apps, but you can do that. So, and that'll manifest itself later, so you don't have to activate. And I always remember, and I always want to remind people, because they always forget, if you have a phone with Touch ID, you can press and hold the button at the bottom, and that activates Shlomo. Or on the right-hand side, you press and hold that button, and that activates slow-mo also. And that's a great way to do it. So, and if you have CarPlay, a requirement by Apple is that one of the buttons on your somewhere has to be able to activate slow-mo. So I thought this is pretty cool. You can take, there's been apps that have done this in the past, but you can find recipes for similar dishes. So you're somewhere, you're at a restaurant and stuff, you take a picture of this, and through artificial intelligence, it goes out and it says, well, that looks like an avocado, that looks like Brussels sprouts, that looks like quinoa, oh, and those look like pomegranate seeds, and who knows what else in there. Oh, and I guess those look like walnuts down on the thing. So you'll notice here were some of the suggestions. Oh gosh, look at this one. Quinoa salad with roasted squash looks almost the same. So Google does something similar too. I have a feeling this is getting to the point where, and there are apps out there that allow you to take a picture of your food, and it will try to find you all the nutritional information about it. So next is, this is in the health app. This is coming up. So there's some new mental health and vision features. I haven't explored them yet, but it's pretty interesting. What you can do is, Apple's been very good about this. There's also another feature on your phone and your iPad now that will let you know if you're holding it too close to your face, because that can create some vision problems and issues. Doesn't mean you can't do it, doesn't mean you can't defeat it, but it will remind you or prompt you, and you can dismiss that if needed. As always, privacy and security is paramount with Apple. So these are just some new communication type safety things about naked photos, all that stuff, but sensitive content, you can blur certain things, etc. I haven't really pursued this yet, but we'll know more and more about it, but it's in there now. Improved permissions. So now you have more control over what you share with websites and things like that. There's another thing called lockdown mode, and that can work pretty well. I don't know exactly how it's going to work, but I believe there's another feature in here too, where you can, if you're going through security coming into an airport, you can make it so they can't get into your own personal stuff. I'll have to pursue that and see, but it's coming up. And just a few things more, and accessibility is going to do much more. Personal voice. So if you have people sometimes with Parkinson and some of the other diseases, they start to lose their natural voice. So you're able to, while you still have your voice working, there's some ways to record that and put that in. I think that's a great feature. Memojis, you can have smirks and stuff like that. Grocery list will now sort the items into categories for you. It'll know that tomatoes should be in vegetables. We'll have to play with it, because what is it? Ketchup, they say, isn't a vegetable, but it might be, whatever. Notes will allow you to do PDFs and also now mark them up, which is very good for doing trip itineraries and things like that. In PDFs itself, and this is coming later this year, you can security save information from contacts. I do want to point out too that notes, every note is lockable, and it's a great place to store your passwords. Fitness is doing some other sharing type things. Now the Find My app that lets you do AirTags, you can share an AirTag or Find My network accessories. So this allows you, if you're in a household and you have different Apple IDs, you can share, well, where is the iPad mini or things like that. Or if you're on a trip, you can both be shared in on the AirTags. So Home is getting more and more robust all the time. It can have an activity history, because if certain cameras are home compatible, it'll be on there. Lots of other features in Home. Apple News, crossword puzzles. That's one of the new things in there. The nice thing is in photos, the People album will be better than ever in recognizing favorite people. And it now includes cats and dogs, where before it really only did dogs. And Apple ID, you can use another device nearby to get in to do your Apple ID. Freeform, I haven't used it much at all, but it's been improved. And then also there is iPad iOS 17, and that is out. I'll go into that more on the first Saturday class. And it's most of the features I just showed you are available on the iPad, and some of the nice features have come over to it. Obviously, the phone call things don't really work on there. So
Health
that
is
was all-
wonderful.
What's that?
Health is wonderful on the iPad. They've
Oh,
taken the iPad.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Bob, because I almost put that screenshot up. Apple Health in the iPad is everything you wanted and needed, because health is not easy to navigate through on the phone. It's wonderful on the iPad. Thank you, Bob, very much. So that was it from the Apple event that happened on the 12th. And these are the iPhone 15s. You can tell that by the 2 lenses, and then the iPhone 15 Pro that has 3 lenses. And in the iPhone 15 Pro, the Max model has a new 5x, 5 times zoom, the equivalent of 120 millimeter lens on it, whereas you still have the 3x on the regular iPhone 15 Pro. The Pro has the better chip and the extra telephoto lens. So Bev, go ahead with your question.
Well, more of a comment. You're showing the AirTag improvement made me reminded me. I was wondering when my batteries might run out on my AirTags, and I was so pleased I got it. They tell you
They last for a year,
What?
and they will inform you when
Yeah.
they're low. And mine went almost a month and a half, 2 months, and then I replaced it because I figured it was. And so the AirTags, they're easily to replace the batteries. They're a simple CR2032 watch battery or little fob battery like you have. And I buy a dozen at a time and have them at my house for those batteries, because they're used in everything. They're used in the Tesla remote. They're used in other things like that. So you should have those. You don't necessarily have to travel with them, because once the warning comes up, you've got a little bit of time to do it.
Jen, have you had any problems with the Duracell that have the bitter taste
Oh.
on them?
Yeah, good point. So make sure you buy the ones. There are certain of those fob batteries that they're child safe. They're basically covered with a very bitter thing so kids won't swallow them. Well, kids or adults won't swallow them. And you don't want those because they have a coating on them. So you want the ones that aren't that, or you need to scratch off the coating. Bev, I'm glad you mentioned that. I forgot.
And I've read that
That's only come up
difficult.
recently.
It's very difficult to get that coating off.
Yeah. So you want the ones that are not protected like that. In fact, if they make them all be protected, you might want to get a little cadre of extra ones and keep them on store. Thank you. Joan Whitaker, go right ahead with your question, and then we'll get to the raffle.
Okay, I'm wondering, on the AirTag, I have trouble taking the batteries out. And, I just find that's just hard for me to do. Is there any trick to it?
I would Google that online. I think there are. I tried to do one for somebody the other day to show them. They had a brand new one, show them how to do it. It was kind of difficult on mine, and I have very early versions of it. It was a lot easier. Now you got to remember that they're designed to be not waterproof, but water resistant. So that can cause that. You really have to kind of push it in and then turn, and it's not easy. So maybe somebody's invented a tool for it, but I would just Google it and say, how do I change the battery on an AirTag, and do that. So I'm sorry I didn't have the answer for you, because that only came up to me recently. All righty, let me get my pen out so I can write down the numbers. And all right, What's our big number, Mary? You're muted. You're muted, Mary. Mary, you're muted.
274.
274. And our today number?
34.
Thank you. Okay, so as always, we will be doing a drawing for Apple gift cards. We have 4 $25 Apple gift cards. Everybody in attendance is in the mix for that. And we do 2 $100 Apple gift cards for those in attendance. And if you win a 25 and then you win 100, you have to give one of them back and we re-raffle it. It's up to you which one you give back. But hint, hint, you probably want to give the $25 back. And then we also have a $100 gift card that goes out to our entire membership, which is 274 members, don't have to be present to win. And yes, you can win that also. And it's a complete different number set. So you could be number 12 on the member raffle, but you might be number 136 on the full member raffle. So I'm going to have Siri draw a random number. It's inclusive of both ends of the numbers. I see it on my screen, and I will call it a miss deal if I don't enunciate clearly and it doesn't come up with the full number. And Mary won't tell us who it is until I clear that. It doesn't take long. So we're going to start out with the 4 $25, and I'll email those to you tonight, so you'll have them, and they'll come from Amazon. So we have 34, so we're going to do 1 through 34. The first 4 will be the $25 gift cards. Give me a random number between 1 and 34.
The answer is 1.
Wow.
That's Bertie Smith.
Oh,
Bertie, congratulations.
And Ken, just to clarify, it's for members in attendance, because I think we have one
Yes.
guest tonight.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so members in attendance are the only ones eligible for the raffle.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Ken, this is Bertie. Pardon my ignorance. About a year and a half ago, I won a $100 one, but I didn't know how to use it or how to cash it in. So when I receive a notice that says you won, and
Okay,
how do you do it?
I usually go back into Amazon and look to see if I can say resend it, but I will go back and look through all of them to see and look for an email of it. And you simply click on it and then it goes on your Amazon account. That's a great question, but yeah,
I
you simply click on it.
I didn't know, and I was too embarrassed to ask, but now I'm older and I'm not embarrassed anymore.
you shouldn't be.
It's not a problem. So I will go back and check those, because you never got the email from Amazon, or did you not redeem it?
Maybe Bob White sent me one or something, and
No.
there was just a little yellow thing. I didn't know how to activate it.
Well,
Yeah.
I can only check, and Mary, when you guys do it when I'm not here, I can only check the ones that are in my Amazon account. But was I the one doing that meeting? Do you remember?
I believe you were.
Okay, then it'll be in my account and I'll go look for it for you.
Well, thank you. It was a
And
long
if the
time.
meeting, no problem. I'll go back and look.
Yeah, and the other thing to remember, Bertie, is when, do your shopping, and when you get to the final screen where you're paying, it'll default to the gift card. And so if you don't want to pay using the gift card, you need to change a card to your regular card.
So what you do when you get the email, you click on the link and it will automatically, it will fire up your Amazon account. And if you're logged in, it will put it in your account for you. It's in the bank, so to speak. And then when you go to check out, it will be that gift card, which, like in this case, where I send out using the MacNexus credit card, I send these awards out. I have to make sure there's nothing in mine and no credits from my credit card and things. And so it just, works out. So anyway, I'll look through that. excuse me, and see if I can find it for you. And Bertie, you have my email. I may not be able to tonight, but go ahead and send me an email tomorrow and I'll look about it and that'll remind me.
Okay, thank you.
And you can look through your email. Well, yeah, don't look through your email for Amazon because there'll be too many. All right. That was a good question because we needed that. So now we're going to go with the second $25 gift card. Give me a random number between 1 and 34.
The answer is 2.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
Anybody
Barbara
want to guess
Moore.
what the next one will be?
Yeah, no kidding. Barbara Moore.
Barbara, congratulations. Okay. The statistical odds are against number 3 coming up. Give me a random number between 1 and 34.
It's 8.
Dale Steele.
Congratulations. And Dale was a cult. He helped contribute on the meeting chat today with some of the links. I appreciate that. All right. The
And
last
he says
$25.
woohoo. Yeah.
Yeah. Give me a random number between 1 and 34.
The answer is 25.
Finally, we got into the second half. 25.
Ray Bokey.
Hey,
If I'm
does pretty
saying
well.
that right.
Ray Bulkey, he does pretty well on these.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he does.
All right, so now we're going to do the 2 $100 gift cards. Give me a random number between 1 and 34.
Yeah.
The answer is 22.
22. Now, remember, this is, yeah, go ahead.
You're not going to believe this, Randy. You want to tell him who it is?
Yes, let me announce number 22 is Mary. It's true.
Congratulations, Mary.
Thanks. I'm glad I sent him
Randy,
the
you're supposed
list.
to use her last name too. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
All right. The last $100 for members in attendance. Give me a random number between 1 and 34.
It's 12.
12.
Elaine Hebert.
Congratulations, Elaine. $100 coming your way. Now for the membership, the entire member one, and we're going to 274. Give me a random number between 1 and 274.
It's 26.
26. And that, remember, this number scale is completely different than the other one.
Yes, it's it is. This is Cynthia Moore.
I'm sorry, Cynthia Moore.
Yeah, I don't know her, but yeah.
Cindy's the one who runs Wits.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
All right. So great news, everybody. And if I'll hang around for a little bit, if you have any questions, I'll go ahead and stop the